Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. And here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 23rd of February. Death toll in Bangladesh ferry capsize touches 70. Indian Prime Minister Modi reaches out to opposition, appeals for smooth budget session. And ready to negotiate peace with Taliban, says Afghan President Ghani. And now for all the details. The budget session of the Indian Parliament began on Monday. With no headway over key reforms, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked the opposition for support in the passage of important bills. Here is a report.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi walks a tightrope as the annual budget session of the Indian Parliament begins on Monday. His government, which came to power on promises of economic development, is set to present its spending plan for its first year. Opposition parties had stalled the proceedings of December's parliamentary session, and Mr. Modi is determined not to let this happen again. He has reached out to political parties to ensure they complete crucial legislative work this time around.
मुझे विश्वास है कि बजट सत्र बहुत ही अच्छे वातावरण में, सहयोग के वातावरण में और कुछ अच्छा करने की दिशा में मिलकर के प्रयास करने का एक अच्छा अवसर बन के रहेगा.
Insurance Laws Amendment Bill 2008 and the Coal Mines Special Provisions Bill 2014, which the BJP says are important for economic progress. Mr. Modi's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party had also installed laws without a vote, and observers say Mr. Modi's political opponents will stop at nothing to quash these, especially amendments to the Land Acquisition Act, which they have called anti-farmer.
It means that they are with the corporate, they are with the companies, just to please them, to get more investment in the name of this Land Acquisition Act. So they are doing it, and we are not going to yield, because in the interest of Kisan, farmers, it is not good.
With the BJP having fallen short of required numbers in the upper house to pass bills and the opposition refusing to blink, the budget session is expected to be a stormy affair.
The death toll in Bangladesh ferry mishap rose to 70 on Monday. The overcrowded launch went down in Padma River on Sunday after being hit by a cargo trawler.
Bangladesh officials on Monday said more than 50 people have been rescued from the ill-fated boat, while search operations were on to find those still missing. Rescue teams, however, feared that the death toll could increase as at least 50 passengers on board MV Mustafa still remained unaccounted for.
পদ্ম ম্যাগনেট মোহনায় এই জাহাজটা যাচ্ছিল, তখন পাশে আরেকটা কার্গো জাহাজ প্রবল বেগে এসে এই জায়গায় ধাক্কা দিয়ে এই জাহাজটাকে উল্টে ফেলে। আমরা এই পর্যন্ত 50-60 জন যাত্রী তীরে সাঁতরাইয়ে উঠছে এবং সাথে কার্গো জাহাজও ছিল। জাহাজটা দিয়ে আমরা উদ্ধার স্থানীয় লোকজন উদ্ধার করছে। এখন ফায়ার ব্রিগেড, ডুবুরি, বিআইডব্লিউটি, কোস্টগার্ড সবাই চেষ্টা করে উদ্ধার চলছে। এই পর্যন্ত 13টা মৃতদেহ উদ্ধার করা হয়েছে।
MV Mustafa, which was en route to Daulatdia, drowned in the Padma River, some 85 miles west of capital Dhaka on Sunday after being hit by a cargo vessel. Locals said the boat, with a capacity of 140 passengers, was carrying nearly 200 people at the time of the mishap. Ferry accidents are a common occurrence in Bangladesh, which has a vast network of rivers, with boats being the most common means of transport. Most of these are a result of bad weather, overcrowding and poor maintenance of vessels.
Afghanistan government has said it is ready to begin negotiations with the Taliban. The Afghan leadership confirmed the dialogue could begin next month.
Afghan President Ghani had indicated that peace negotiations between the two sides were within reach after more than a decade of warfare.
The grounds for peace have never been better in the last 36 years. Our approach is productive, the direction is positive.
The announcement came during the visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter to Afghan capital Kabul over the weekend. Carter on Saturday said the United States may review its plan of troops withdrawal from the war-torn nation by 2016 at Ghani's request.
Our priority now is to make sure this progress sticks. That is why President Obama is considering a number of options to reinforce our support for President Ghani's security strategy, including possible changes to the timeline for our drawdown of U.S. troops.
Carter, who took over from former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel last week, arrived in Afghanistan on Saturday. He also met with U.S. troops and other leaders during his two-day visit. Carter hinted that Washington was reviewing the pace of troop withdrawal and was rethinking of the U.S. counter-terrorism mission in Afghanistan. The US and NATO have around 13,000 troops deployed in Afghanistan to train the Afghan security force against the Taliban. The Ashraf Ghani government, which assumed office last September, has expressed intention to hold negotiations with the Taliban ever since. But the insurgents, who refuse to accept the democratically elected government, have so far not shown any keenness towards resuming the dialogue process stalled under the previous regime of Hamid Karzai. The Islamists, who were ousted from power in 2011, have been on the offensive, gaining grounds across the country post the NATO troops' withdrawal.
Maldives authorities have arrested former President Mohammed Nasheed for alleged terror charges. This comes days after Nasheed called for an international sanction against the country's government for becoming increasingly authoritarian.
Maldivian opposition leader and former president Mohammed Nasheed was taken into police custody on Sunday after a warrant was issued against him. The terror case dates back to 2012 when Nasheed, the then president, had ordered detention of a Syria judge. The arrest comes days after Nasheed expressed fears of the government using its powers against him. Nasheed, who was in Indian capital New Delhi last week, had expressed concern over the growing presence of Islamic State militants in the country. He had accused President Yamin Abdul Gayoom's government of supporting the recruitment of jihadis to the Middle East. Following Nasheed's arrest, his Maldivian Democratic Party urged Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to reconsider his visit to Mali, scheduled for early next month. Nasheed, a former human rights campaigner, took charge as the country's first democratically elected president in 2008. He was, however, forced to leave office and seek asylum in Mali's Indian High Commission in 2012 following a coup. In 2013, he lost a controversial vote for presidency to Yamin Abdul Gayoom, the half-brother of former dictator Maumoon Abdul Gayoom, who ruled the country for over 3 decades.
Alexis Prem Kumar, an Indian aid worker who was abducted by the Taliban in Afghanistan, has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for securing his release. Kumar was handed over to the Indian authorities on Sunday after being in captivity for nearly 8 months.
Alexis Prem Kumar, who reached Indian capital New Delhi late on Sunday, arrived home to his family members who had been tirelessly working towards a safe return. Kumar was flown back to his country after Indian authorities secured his freedom from the Taliban after months of negotiations. The Foreign Ministry has, however, not disclosed many details about his release, including whether ransom was paid. Kumar thanked the Indian government for ensuring his safe return to India.
I thank God first, and also the Indian government, especially our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. He has taken a lot of efforts. Because of him, I am alive here. He has really brought me here. Not only that, he talked to me over the phone when I was in the Kabul airport. When he was talking, I felt that the whole India is welcoming me. And Prime Minister is personally taking interest and talking to me. I felt really grateful and thankful.
Kumar, a Jesuit priest from India's southern Tamil Nadu, was involved in educational work in war-torn Afghanistan. The 47-year-old was abducted by unidentified gunmen from Herat in June last year. His kidnapping also came close to a series of attacks on Indian diplomatic establishments in Afghanistan, which had raised questions on the safety of Indians who had been working for the reconstruction of the country after decades of war.
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has invited Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to visit the eastern Indian state. The goodwill gesture came after Banerjee assured Hasina of a positive role in resolving the Teesta River issue to protect interests of both sides.
Mamata Banerjee said she will work towards resolving the long-standing Fiesta dispute soon. The Chief Minister of India's eastern state of West Bengal, who was on a 3-day trip to Bangladesh, met Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Dhaka on Saturday. Banerjee showed strong commitment and confirmation towards resolving the water-sharing matter through mutual cooperation. The visiting delegation also discussed other bilateral issues, including the land boundary agreement, to strengthen ties between the two sides. Banerjee said she was keen to respond to Bangladesh's expectations from West Bengal.
Dispute short out হয়েছে তিস্তাতেও আস্থা রাখুন সবাই মিলে কথা বলে বাংলার যে সমস্যা আছে কিছু সেটা আমরা সমাধান করব আপনাদেরও কিছু প্রবলেম আছে আমি বুঝি সেটা আপনাদেরও জল চাই জলের প্রবলেম আছে আমাদেরও কিছু প্রবলেম আছে কারণ শুকিয়েছে অনেকটা ব্যাপার আছে
India and Bangladesh share 54 rivers and the use of resources has always been a sour point. The Fiesta Pact had been put on hold since 2011 after Banerjee's strong opposition over fears that the treaty could spell disaster in her home state. So far, the Ganges River Water Sharing Agreement signed in 1996 is the only riparian agreement between West Bengal and Bangladesh.
It gave the perfect weekend treat for connoisseurs of dance and music as the temple town of Khajuraho came alive with the sound of drum beats. Take a glimpse of this sumptuous festival.
Amid pure classical notes echoing ghungroos and traditional symphonies, the iconic Khajuraho temple ushered in spring with the dance fiesta. The 41st edition of the festival inculcated the finest Indian classical dance forms to celebrate the richness of Bharatnatyam, Odissi, Kathak, Kuchipudi, Manipuri and Kathakali. The past and the present silhouetted against the glowing sun as the famous Khajuraho temple added much glitter in the backdrop. The week-long vibrant event attracted scores of art aficionados from across the world. The dances are usually performed in front of the Chitragupta temple dedicated to the sun god and the Vishwanatha temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. Kathak exponent Monisa Nayak said the experience of performing in Khajuraho was overwhelming.
बहुत ही खूबसूरत पीछे जो खजुराहो मंदिर का जो प्रांगण है उसकी वजह से ये सिर्फ एक ऑडिटोरियम एक वैसा नहीं लगता एक बिल्कुल ही अलग सा माहौल होता है बहुत ही सुंदर पीछे मंदिर का वो और सामने ऑडियंस और साथ में वो जैसे मेला लगा हुआ है बहुत अच्छा लगता है
Khajuraho is famous for its group of temples that were built during the Chandela dynasty between 950 AD and 1150 AD and famous for its archaeological excellence. Khajuraho has the largest group of medieval Hindu and Jain temples famous for their sculptures. In 1986, the UNESCO designated the temples as a World Heritage Site.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Death toll in Bangladesh ferry capsize touches 70. Indian Prime Minister Modi reaches out to opposition, appeals for smooth budget session. And ready to negotiate peace with Taliban, says Afghan President Ghani. Now viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. And that's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.